Oh, for God's sakes, where's that white noise machine?
Family Guy has been around for 25 years, and with being decades old comes age-related issues like humor that doesn't always land like it used to. Today on ScreenRant, we take a look at some of the many moments from Family Guy that would be cancelled in 2024. The most famous case of poor taste in Family Guy belongs to the Season 5 episode, Airport 07, in which Quagmire loses his job as an airline pilot. The episode contains plenty of offensive gags, including Peter attempting to have sex with Meg in order to be a proper redneck.
I am about to do something to you that you will not remember until you're 40.
And a news simulation where a man brutally beats his wife. But the big gag is, of course, the Prom Night Dumpster Baby routine. This skit essentially comes out of nowhere, but features a full musical number as a bunch of babies sing about their unfortunate lot in life. There are several Season 8 episodes on our list. And first up is Road to the Multiverse, in which Brian and Stewie travel through various alternate realities. In one, Frank Sinatra had never been born, in turn leading to Richard Nixon defeating John F. Kennedy in the 1960 United States presidential election. This led to the bungling of the Cuban Missile Crisis, resulting in World War III turning America into an apocalyptic wasteland. While here, Stewie informs Brian that instead of Lee Harvey Oswald shooting Kennedy, he actually shot Mayor McCheese. We're treated to a cutaway showing the event, including the horrifying sight of Jackie Kennedy eating the cheeseburger's blown away gray matter. Even Brian is unsure whether the joke is in poor taste. Interestingly, in the game Back to the Multiverse, you get to recreate this moment with Brian pulling the trigger. Family Guy has made a few jokes about Aquaman, but in Season 7's Baby Not on Board, things take a turn for the incredibly dark, as Aquaman proves incapable of saving a woman being assaulted on the shore. It's already a dark, albeit silly gag about Aquaman being unable to do more than talk to fish. But then the last line takes things to a far more cancelable level.
Help! He's hurting me!
Well, maybe you shouldn't have let him on.
Speaking of violence against women, Season 7 also includes Love Blacksually, the episode in which Brian attempts to convince Loretta to get back together with Cleveland. Like any episode, this one contains a few unsavory jokes, including one calling out Laura Bush for accidentally killing a teenager in a 1963 car accident, and a moment wherein Brian talks to an anti-abortion activist. It's right after that scene when Stewie finds a book titled Horton Hears Domestic Violence in the Next Apartment and Doesn't Call 911. The cutaway is surprisingly brutal, as Horton sits and reads a book while next door a man shouts and beats his wife, leading to Horton suggesting there's probably two sides to the conflict. Season 9's German Guy starts off gross enough, with several jokes about Chris's knuckle children and more Herbert than usual. But things take a dark turn when it's revealed that Chris's new friend, a puppet shop owner, is actually a Nazi war criminal. Somehow though, this isn't the most messed up beat in the episode. When Chris and Peter are trapped in the old Nazis' basement, they attempt to hail a rescue by loudly playing a radio. This wakes up Quagmire in the middle of some good old-fashioned middle-of-the-day napping, and so he turns on his white noise machine, which is just the sound of women screaming for help. The implications are some of the darkest in the show's history. The Hulu description for the Season 10 episode Screams of Silence, the story of Brenda Q, states simply, Quagmire crosses the line. That's a pretty fair summation of an episode that starts with an autoerotic asphyxiation, but it immediately goes off the rails by introducing Quagmire's sister and her abusive boyfriend. What follows is a series of uncomfortable scenes that treat domestic violence as a gag with very little to alleviate the mood. Partial Terms of Endearment and When You Wish Upon a Weinstein are two other episodes that take things a bit too far. The former, which was meant to serve as the finale to Season 8, was pulled from distribution by Fox before it could be aired, but was eventually released on DVD. In the episode, Lois's girlfriend from college asks Lois to help her conceive a child. Peter doesn't take kindly to this and tries to trick Lois into a miscarriage. After the friend and her husband are killed in a car accident, Lois has to consider getting an abortion, only for Peter to become pro-life. The episode is actually shockingly restrained in its comedy, at least for Family Guy, but it's easy to see why Fox got cold feet about airing it. Unlike partial terms of endearment, When You Wish Upon a Weinstein did get a chance to air, albeit a season late as it was originally produced for the second season, not the third, for which it served as the finale. The episode deals directly with anti-Semitism, most notably with Peter singing "I Need a Jew" in the style of When You Wish Upon a Star, which led to a lawsuit by the song's publishing house. Perhaps the most notorious Quagmire-related episode is Season 8's Quagmire's Dad, in which the titular pervert's dad, Dan, comes out as transgender. It starts off offensive enough, with Peter and Joe making a big deal out of Quagmire's dad acting in an overtly gay manner, but when Quagmire confronts his dad about it, Dan assures him that he's not gay, but that he is going to have a sex change operation due to being a woman trapped in a man's body. Quagmire takes this poorly, and quite a few jokes are made at the expense of transgender individuals. Quagmire does eventually accept Dan for who she really is, but it's a long road getting there, and unfortunately ends with Brian being grossed out that he had sex with Quagmire's dad. During a cutaway in Season 14's Papa Has a Rollin' Son, Peter shows up as an OBGYN to give a couple news that their baby isn't breathing. What's interesting about this one is that scientifically speaking, babies in the womb don't breathe. Oxygen is instead supplied through the placenta and umbilical cord. However, it's plain to see that the writers for this episode weren't banking on audiences considering the science. The Season 15 episode Hot Shots follows Lois going full anti-vax. But as in most of these examples, it's a cutaway gag that really caused a commotion. In this one, Peter does a Joker impression while destroying all the vaccines in town, leading to an incredibly poor taste remark.
What else did I have to do today? Ah, yes, overdose in my apartment.
This was a not too subtle joke about the real circumstances of actor Heath Ledger's death in 2008. There's also nothing quite as offensive as the opening to Season 8 episode Peter Assessment, in which Stewie takes part in his first musical, specifically Terry Schiavo the musical. The scene makes light of the real-life drama surrounding Schiavo, who had only died 5 years previously. For those unaware, the Terry Schiavo cases were a series of right-to-die legal cases surrounding Schiavo, who was in a vegetative state from 1990 until her death in 2005. The episode caused controversy at the time, not just because of the opening number. The main plot focuses on Peter enduring sexual harassment from his boss Angela, voiced by Carrie Fisher. Unsurprisingly, things get dark as Peter learns what it means to be made uncomfortable in the workplace. At one point, Angela attempts to take her own life because Peter declines her advances. That is to say nothing of the racial jokes. Peter Assessment is a great example of how much offensiveness Family Guy can pack into a typical episode. In the Season 8 episode Brian and Stewie, we got a joke so vile that it wasn't even shown on TV. Early on, the two friends are trapped inside a bank vault, right as Stewie drops a deuce in his pants. If you watch the episode online, such as on Hulu, you might notice a joke that you hadn't seen before. With Brian hungry and the smell quickly ripening, Stewie convinces Brian to literally lick his butt. This scene also features Stewie referring to holding a gun like a black guy, which would also probably be frowned upon today, but not as much as listening to Brian lick Stewie's bum. And that's our list. Gross, huh? What do you think would also get canceled today? Thank you for watching Screen Rant and stay tuned for more TV news.